Everyone. Welcome to our Seattle Angel Conference workshop series. Today we have a Meet the Angels program where we're going to engage with a bunch of the different angel groups and micro venture capitalists in town. And we're going to start with an overview of how we think about angel investors and what they have been doing. And then we'll call each of the different angel groups up and chat with them about how they think about angel investing. So please note that on the side there's a Q&A thing where you can type things into the Q&A. So if you click on the Q&A tab on the far right, you can put questions in. If you click on the participants, you'll see everybody's that's here and you can chat with them and otherwise engage with them. And then there's a chat function that lets you talk to the people at your table or talk to everybody who's around. So side conversations through chat are quite reasonable. If you are one of the people that we're expecting to present for your table, if you would please raise your hand, that would make it easier for me to find you in the list of people. And I will bring Elaine up right now.
Hi, team.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming, Elaine. We think of you as our data person who thinks hard on data. And congratulations on getting your Unsung Hero Award from the Female Founders Alliance. That's really great to see you engaged that way.
Oh, thanks, John.
So
really happy to be here.
We sort of wonder, what do these angel groups do? And so you've been collecting data on that. So I'll let you go forward and then we'll move from there.
Yeah, and it's great to be here to share the latest information that we have on angel groups. It's super relevant to both angels and entrepreneurs. So looking forward for everyone who attends to learn something new today. And I do have to start out by saying we have a fantastic group of angel groups here in town. I'm honored to be among them and work with everyone that you'll be seeing from a presentation standpoint today. They voluntarily share the data with me. So both angels trying to find their best fit and entrepreneurs trying to navigate angel funding in town can become smarter about our ecosystem. So that is definitely part of what I'll be sharing today. So in the presentation, I'll move through quickly because I know, team, you're really not here to chat with me, but it's more about connecting with the angels in town. I just want to give you that macro view so that you can understand how what we're going to talk about today and what you hear fits into that larger picture. So I'll be sharing with you information about U.S. angel groups, how the Pacific Northwest compares to the overall U.S. numbers, and then specifically what we have here in Seattle as a great ecosystem to understand a little bit better about. The information that I'm sharing on an overall national basis comes from the HALO report. It's a 2019 data source. They haven't brought out 2020 yet. We're anxiously awaiting that. It's based on almost 2,500 deals. So it gives us a good view of what's going on in the country at large. So one of the things we want to understand is how does that Pacific Northwest stack up on a number of different measures and metrics. So when we think about where the money comes from, California and New York angel groups are responsible for more than half of the dollars invested. And I will highlight our Pacific Northwest numbers in everything that I share today. So we can see here on the left in the number of deals, we're at 9% of the seeds Series A deals, but 3% of those dollars. When we think about the Pacific Northwest, coming from our own angel groups, it's the largest homegrown group where 80% of the money from Pacific Northwest Angels stays in the Pacific Northwest. On the other end of the spectrum, New York, the over half, in fact, 64% of the money from New York Angels goes out of the region. And we've got all the different views in between. When we think about where those out of region money goes, the largest percentage goes to California at 22%. 9% comes up here in the Northwest. When we think about where the Northwest entrepreneurs are backed, the deals are backed in percent of total. The Pacific Northwest deals represent 9% of all of that, the entrepreneur deals for the year. And when we think about the categories of funding from an industry perspective, the Northwest is what we see in general across the US by different categories. No major outliers. And also when we think about pre-money and post-money medians, we can see these by the different categories as well as percent of deals in terms of understanding a little bit more about pre and post-money. Well, in fact, in this case, it's pre-money valuations, making sure that we look at both an average and a median. And you will see throughout this presentation, I usually, if there's both average and median available, I'll present those, because the averages that we see here in blue can be skewed by larger deals on the high end. And you can see in financial services, energy, biotech, B2B, that's exactly what's happening. So if you're looking for a less skewed number, always look for those median numbers. When we look at that for how much we're looking at pre-money valuations in the different regions and how we stack up to the national average. For the seed rounds, we can see the national average is 12.2 with a median of 6.5. And here in the Northwest, we're very close, spot on in that median numbers, lower on the average. But again, I do focus on those medians. And then for pre-money on Series A, the national average is 11 for the median, 18 on average. And we're, in fact, over on the Series A from the national average on the median, under on the average itself. So not the skew happening here in the Pacific Northwest. When we think about the fund round size in the Pacific Northwest and kind of compare that to the national average, on the seed round, we're looking at a little bit lower numbers than national average, the median at 360K, average at 1.1 million. At Series A, we're actually looking at what came through as larger than national median numbers or average at 4.9 million for median, 6.4 million for the average. When we look at the check size that the average angel group here in the Pacific Northwest writes, when we look at seed round, we've got our median average, and there's quite a space between that, 200K to 700K. And when we look at that in the Series A, 900K to 1.6. So as an entrepreneur, you can start to think about in filling out your round, how many groups you might need to be able to do that. Another thing that is important that we don't always talk about is new money set aside versus follow-ons. Pacific Northwest is very close to the national average of a 60-40 split. where 60% of angel money going to new groups, new deals, and 38% to deals that they're as follow-ons that they have already participated in an earlier round. And then here, when we think about it, the Pacific Northwest for vehicles has the highest percent of convertible notes. National average, when we think about that, 47% convertible notes, almost about the same in terms of equity, and 8% in safe debt and other. Ours, we are shyer on the equity side and the highest from a convertible note perspective. So just a good thing to know when you're on either side of the table negotiating your deal. When we think about who is getting funded in the female CEO realm, the national average we have as 17%, and here in Seattle it was 18.8%. So that's the positive side of the coin. In 2019, however, in the deals that were registered with the Hiller report, there were no minority female representation in the funding here in the Pacific Northwest. So that is the quick overview of the Hiller report information. Now to dive into the information that the local of our local scene. There are a number of angel groups in town. If you're an entrepreneur, it's really important that you understand the difference between the angel groups. They all have a different focus. So if you're clean tech, Element 8 will be right for you. If you're not clean tech, you wouldn't want to knock on their door. When we think about the groups, they're listed on this list from Stage in terms of Stage funding, looking for early money, or more interested in a little bit later seed and Series A. So we're very lucky in this region to have a number of groups. So SWAN, Seattle Angel Conference, Grub Stakes, Puget Sound Venture Club, Element 8, Alliance of Angels, used to be Seattle Angel Fund, now Sea Change, and then Keiretsu Forum in the Northwest. Not on this list, but we soon will have data and participation from Bellingham Angels. Katie's here tonight, so it'll be great to make sure you stop by and understand what Katie also is offering from an angel group perspective. There are different types of groups in town, ranging from funds to networks. So again, if you're an angel investor just starting out, let's say maybe you did Seattle Angel Conference 18 or 19, and you're looking to spread your wings to other groups in town, it's great to understand what those options are so you can find exactly what you're looking for. And when I think about how our ecosystem here has expanded over time, I have a great view that we can kind of play here for you. Like I say, we've had such fantastic participation. What you're seeing here on the screen now is the ability to look at the deals themselves over time from the different groups, because we've had participation over 10 years. So let's stop this. And so we can just kind of see how our environment has blossomed. So back in 2010, we have Element 8, Alliance of Angels, Puget Sound Venture Club, and Keiretsu Forum on the scene. What we have here is the number of deals on the left, the y-axis, the average deal size on our x-axis. Thinking in generally early funding, you'll see coming out here in the lower left, seed on the left, more Series A on the right. The size of the bubbles is the number of members within each angel group. So as we move through time, we can see Seattle Angel Conference hops on the scene in 2012. As we continue to move further, we see that there is now a growth in a number of the groups, AOA, Keiretsu Forum, Puget Sound Venture Club, starting to write those larger checks and supporting groups that are getting their Series A. Then as we get to 2015, we have Seattle Angel Fund 1, which later becomes Sea Change. Swan enters the picture. And we can continue to see in 2017, Grubstakes is now coming on board. So when we look at our numbers where we are, we have a super healthy ecosystem that writes checks in a wide range of denominations in terms of doing a wide variety of deals and encompassing quite a significant group of angel investors here in town. So no matter which side of the table you are on, Seattle is a great place to be. And want to leave you with the fact that another thing that's fantastic in our region is we have strong female participation from a majority of Seattle Angel groups, and the numbers just keep getting better and better. So John, I'll turn it over back to you. Thanks for allowing me to share the latest numbers with everybody here, and hopefully you guys came away with a new number, a new insight that you didn't have before. Happy to talk with you offline after the event for any questions you may have.
Yeah, we have two questions in the Q&A. One is, can you explain the 17 investment in female CEOs? She thought it was closer to 2-3%. Got a quick answer?
Those are the female CEOs funded from the groups themselves. So that's not a VC number. It's an angel group number.
Cool. And someone wonders if there's a group that's focused on the social space.
John, you might be, do you know if there's any group that specifically looks for more social supported?
No, I am unaware.
Yeah,
I don't know of one.
me neither.
I think probably the closest is First Row Partners, that has a particular bias towards a specific engagement with folks.
And isn't it great that both Yoko and Minda are here tonight to chat with anyone interested in what they have to offer?
To figure that out. Oh, someone is talking about Social Venture Partners locally in the general chat. Rick is saying that. But Social Venture Partners is a philanthropic approach to investing, not a investor approach. And so be aware that Social Venture Partners is not investment, it's donation, unless they've changed since the last time I talked to them. Thank you so much, Elaine. I really appreciate you coming up.
Oh, you bet.
Let me take you off the stage. And let's see, there we go. And let me bring up Karen from Grubstakes here for a second. There you go, Karen. Hi there. Yeah, you turn on your camera and microphone, and poof, you're on stage.
I know, you can see and hear me, hopefully.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Karen, thank you for coming. You're representing Grubstakes. It tends to be the case when we have Seattle Angel Conference finalists that we tend to push them towards Grubstakes as their next step. Can you talk a little bit about what Grubstakes is and just talk about what you look for?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Grubstakes actually was formed, well, about 5 years ago from people that participated in SAC. So thank you, John, for that. And we are probably about 60 members. We do individual investing and also create syndicates amongst our members. So there's no formal structure about that. People invest independently, industry agnostic. Early stage, as you mentioned, will typically come in potentially after a SAC or something like that. And what else? Check size is, as you saw on Elaine's amazing data-filled slides, about 100K. We've done, I think, about 14 investments or somewhere, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe a little less, over the past 5 years. Members are from all over, so we have a diverse array of expertise and knowledge, and we tend to share that amongst one another, and we really depend on one another to conduct due diligence and add different elements to the puzzle of putting things together, and expect active participation from all of our members through the groups we work.
So I think one of the things that's different about Grubstakes is that you're what I would call a championship model. You don't really have companies come and pitch to you. You require them to pitch to an individual, and then if that individual champions them at the group, then you carry them forward. I think almost all of the other groups have that are active networks have screening committees. There is no Grubstakes screening committee, right?
Well, we do. There's a core committee that does review submissions that we get through our website, and then we will put them to the broader membership. But we really do rely on a lot of the members to add to that deal flow, to present opportunities within our membership. So yes, I think that there is a large element that's quite different than other groups that is about championing some startups that you've discovered. So
cool.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go through the groups really quick. So you have a table, and we're going to send people your table in just a little bit. So I'm going to take you down, and then we'll go on. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks.
So now I'm going to bring Peter up, if I can find Peter in this long list. There's Peter.
Hi, John.
Hi there. How are you doing, Peter?
Fantastic. Nice to see your face again.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really glad that you're here. You're at Sea Change Fund, and Sea Change Fund is one of the few what I would call active angel groups, as opposed to networks. It's a fund instead of a network. Can you go into what Sea Change is and where you sort of focus?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an active fund, and you know, to some that might be a little hard to explain. But the way that I look at it is that we operate as pretty much a traditional venture capital fund that has individual angels running diligence and voting on investment. So, and pardon me. Additional aspects to it is that there's a committed check. So there's one name on the cap table, and there's no way to opt out. You buy into the fund as technically an LP, and it's all committed funds, and very, very interesting process to be a part of. You know, to be able to lean on multiple people for domain expertise and kind of understand their views of, say, a certain market is very enlightening.
So you've essentially, you know, we started the Seattle Angel Fund mirroring with the same paperwork as the Oregon Angel Fund. And Oregon Angel Fund is sort of migrated to the Oregon Venture Fund, which is now writing much, much bigger checks. And what I'm hearing you say, and the words that you're using, is that Sea Change Fund, which is the follow-on of the Oregon Seattle Angel Fund, is now also following the VC path a little bit more than they were before?
No. We are still very much in the Seattle Angel Fund structure. You know, that being said, I think there comes a point when I think a discretionary sidecar would be good, because there's a lot of times that deals come in and they just don't fit the process, and I think they would pass gumption along with the members, and you know, it's hard to fit those deals into the process. So to clarify, we still are the Seattle Angel Fund structure, but that's not to say that there won't be, say, an OVF type structure in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. All right, that would be good. So the the key difference between a network and an active angel fund is that the network lets everybody see the companies and then you put your money in whenever, if you want or not. And with that active angel fund, you're expecting everybody to do work, but you also expect them to put the cash in first. And so you have sort of an annual rolling fund where you ask for a subscription. I think it's 38,000 now or something like that.
37.5, yes.
Yeah, so 37.5 every year. You write a check. You write a check into 5 to 6 companies, and then if you do that several years in a row, you build a nice round portfolio that works across all of the different kinds of diverse pieces that come into the fund.
Right. So more of 8 to 10, and in terms of we're industry agnostic. This is my little kind of pitch that I give, but we're industry agnostic, and we invest in anything from plush children's toys that teach emotional intelligence all the way to deep water robotics. So the whole gamut, as long as it's here in the Northwest.
Cool. And what's your normal check size?
Check size ranges anywhere from, we were contemplating a 200, but I would say anywhere from 400 to 800, but sweet spot is around 657.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to take you off the stage, and we're going to try and get people to talk to you directly about what you're doing. And so thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, John.
So next I'm going to bring Nate up.
Hello.
Hi, Nate. I'm doing great. And you're at Swan Venture Fund. Can you tell us a little bit about how that's structured?
Yeah, so we're an active fund similar to Sea Change. I would say that we have an investment period of about 3 years. We're not raising money every year from investors. I think we have a different philosophy and approach in that. But I'd say we're investing about, historically, 3 companies a year. It's been about 100,000 per company. We've just closed funding for our 3rd fund, and I'd say we're at about 2.2 million right now.
And you do that every couple of years that you raise a fund, and the money goes in first, and then how do the decisions get made about where they get invested?
So we just keep things going. So we've had meetings since January. We opened up funding to our previous investors, and we've just been trying to recruit through our membership, through their networks, people who they want to bring on board and feel like they can contribute. And sorry, what was the other part of that question?
How do the decisions get made about which company to invest in? Is everybody voting, or do you have an LPGP model, or do you have a special committee?
So it's by, so LPs, or the angels who are our members, do vote. They do actively participate in due diligence. In some cases, they're asked to sit on the board, or to be an observer, or to be an advisor to the company if that is relevant and applicable. Sometimes we're negotiating outside of the fund for board seats for the pool of investors who could come in to the fund. So we try and negotiate for some of that as well. But to your question, we're an active fund. I would say we've got about a 2-month process, start to finish, where it goes from a call with an entrepreneur all the way to a screening pitch, group pitch, due diligence for about a month. And at each step of the way, the members are participating and voting whether they want to move forward or not. And even at the due diligence portion, they are all writing their own part and giving their own individual opinion and why they feel like this should be something that the fund should invest in or not, and why. And at the end of it, yeah, we're voting whether or not we invest or not.
Okay. What do you think sets Swan apart from the other angel groups in town?
That's a good question. I would say I think you could say that it's very, our approach to the market is inductive. I could say that we're always looking. We don't really have a particular theme. We're industry agnostic. We rely on the expertise of our membership. But we set very high standards for the companies that we look at, and it's a very grueling process. So we're a very quality focused, process focused organization, and that's not to say anybody else is not, but our funds are doing well as a result of this, in terms of unrealized value, doing quite well. We're potentially in a unicorn in the next year, from our first fund, and we could potentially return our fund, top quartile performance for our second one. So,
Cool. So when a company thinks about Swan and they're trying to figure out if they're supposed to go to you or not, what should they be thinking?
well, so, I mean, they come to us because they want the money. So, that's we just sort of get that out of the way. Yes, we write checks and into companies where it makes sense. But for us, it's about exploring whether or not there is a good relationship, a good working relationship. And that means process and time spent with each other to figure that out. So we do the standard 10-minute pitch, but we spend 35 minutes of questions with the entrepreneur at screening, at the group meeting, and we do that on purpose. We feel like if you're going to invest in very early companies, most of the time their pitches aren't very well prepared. And if they have 5 or 10 minutes to answer questions, we want to give them a chance to really get into the meat of their business if it's there. Sometimes you have brilliant technical people who really understand technology very deeply, but are horrible at presenting. And it can become very clear that, hey, there might be something here. We want to give them that chance. So I think that process of discovery helps us differentiate in terms of our questions and our expertise. And it helps our own membership identify and say, hey, I really want to work with this company. I want to do something with this. I want to volunteer my time and, work on due diligence on this. So it's about really trying to measure our interest level by what our membership is doing. And it really helps the company. They really love it when we're contributing. And so that's what we try and sell on is, hey, this isn't just money. We're trying to make sure that it's a good fit. And that's why we have the process that we do. So,
and when they want to find you to ask for advice, where do they go?
So sometimes they reach out to me directly. They might reach out to the contact form. They might reach out via LinkedIn, or they might be introduced through another angel who knows who I am, or through another member of our fund. Okay. So all of those tend to be ways to contact us.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to say before I take you off stage and send you off to your table?
Well, just thank you all for listening to me, and I'm glad that I have this chance to talk about what we do. But I'm glad to see everybody else here too, and hope to meet you soon or talk with you, catch up.
Thanks so much. Mm-hmm. I'm going to bring up Dana from E8 now. Hi, Dana. Can you turn on your camera and your mic? Hello. Well, I'll come back to Dana then. So Gary, I'm going to bring you up next. Hi, Gary. You have to turn on your mic and you have to turn on your camera.
my mic.
There we go.
I'm there, and I got a little light going on here.
Yep. Good.
Okay.
So Gary, you're at the oldest angel group in town. Can you tell us about Puget Sound Venture Club?
Well, an attorney named John Steele, who's retired now, called me one day in '85 and said, "Hey, these angel groups are starting around the country, and we could use one in Seattle." So I called some guys, and that's how we started. And so obviously been around a while.
Yeah. And so what kinds of things do you look for in the companies that you engage with?
Well, according to the member who's investing, everybody's got their own. My standard pitch is look for three things: team, team, team. My experience, I've been in investment banking for many years. And when I was really active, when a company failed, the team couldn't execute. It wasn't because some competitor came in and blew them out. I was never involved in a deal where that happened. The team just couldn't execute. So I come from that space. And I do the preliminary due diligence screening, and I try to be objective, but team is, what drives me.
And how do people find you?
Just, John, I don't have a good answer. Just being around a while, and if somebody's looking around town for angel groups, our name will probably show up someplace. And
So,
I shouldn't say that we do get referrals. A fair number of our companies that come through were referred. Yes. And
So-
we're referred by members too.
I see you as sort of the turning point in angel groups in the middle, where you really want them to have sort of hit product market fit and then have some kind of revenue rhythm, and then you'd like to amplify that rhythm, right? You're not really interested in two guys in a garage with a dog and an idea. Am I reading that right?
Mostly, our sweet spot is a product's done and they're looking for go-to-market money, except for life science, which, as we all know, is never done. And we do life science.
Right. And so you do life science and you do technical stuff, technology oriented things. You do other things like food or ag or any of those things?
Yeah, we do food and ag, and we used to do service way back when, but I can't remember the last time we did a service deal. But we've done food, ag, we've done most things, John. We've
Cool.
done most things.
And so when Shywall asks if you have any that are focused on the social space, you'll do social network kinds of things and social things. Yes?
Yep.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
So that's wonderful. Anything you want to say as parting words to everyone before I send you back to your table?
Yeah, John, I want to say thank you very much for organizing this. This is a good event.
Cool. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to bring up Katie. Where are you, Katie? There you are. Can you turn on your mic and camera, Katie? There we are. Hi, Katie.
Hi, John.
I'm doing great. You're a little bit quiet. If you have a way of turning up your mic volume, that'd be great. But Katie, you're at, now you've gotten quieter. There we go.
Oh.
You're at Bellingham Angels, right?
Yes, from the Bellingham Angels. Is my volume better?
A little bit. If you lean closer, that's better. Nonetheless,
Okay. And now I
can you
can't
tell
hear
us
you.
what
Hold on.
makes Bellingham Angels Bellingham Angels?
Okay, John, I'm sorry. It kept switching to my AirPods. Try again.
Yep. Can you tell us what makes Bellingham Angels Bellingham Angels?
Yeah, we've got a group of about 40 participants, and I feel like we've got folks that are a part of a lot of different funds. So we've got I would say a good 15 people who are constantly looking from Keiretsu, E8, Tech Coast Angels, whatever, bringing us deal flow constantly. So we have a lot of excited investors, which makes it a really fun group to be a part of. Always bringing us new things. We're very industry agnostic, so we get to hear from all sorts of startups, and yeah, we've got a good group.
And you have probably the only group that has Canadian members.
Yep, that's right. We've got a couple people who are pretty involved with Vantech, so we often are listening to startups from Canada. We don't end up investing as much as I guess I assumed that we would, but we are constantly hearing from Canada, which is pretty fascinating to be a part of.
Yeah, and do you have a sense of who you prefer to syndicate deals with?
It seems like lately this year, you know, before COVID hit, we were only syndicating with A of A. Hi to everyone else, but Keiretsu we've gotten a lot of deals from Keiretsu. We've invested in 4 or 5 from Keiretsu this year already.
Yeah, okay. And do you go further south to Oregon or California?
Yes, we do. And again, since COVID, we have really broadened. We used to be only in the Pacific Northwest, and now we have been working all across the country and have invested in a lot of things on the East Coast as well.
Yeah, very cool. Any last words before I put you back to your table?
Yeah, the one thing I would say is that we might be a smaller group, but when we find something that we like, our investors are excited. We put $5.1 million into a startup in the end of 2019, and I just appreciate that the group is willing to move when they see an opportunity arise. So that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you here. I'm going to bring up Eric Larson from Alliance of Angels. And I'm going to bring up Rick just so I'm not confused. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Doing well today.
Cool. And here's Rick too, since I know you're both at Alliance of Angels. Like we can do a little bit of dialogue that way.
Yeah.
And any framing you want to make for Alliance of Angels?
Yeah, I do, John. Thanks for having us both, and thanks for putting this program on. It's wonderful what you all do. I'll talk briefly about the Alliance of Angels from a membership perspective, and then from an entrepreneur perspective, and then just kind of a deal flow, how we conduct our business briefly. We are the second oldest angel group in town, behind Gary's Puget Sound Venture Club. And Gary, I hope it is always that way, that you're always with us, because you do a great job. We have just passed our 25th anniversary, looking forward to our 30th coming up. Our membership is capped at 140 members, and we consider ourselves the most active and serious accredited angel group in town. We are sector agnostic in what we look at, and that's represented by the professional diversity of our members. We have people from all walks, obviously IT, which is our founding, but today we have a large contingent of life sciences, we have consumer package, we have fintech, we have energy. Our only restriction is that we are limited to the Pacific Northwest. So we are geographic focused, but other than that, sector agnostic. And as such, we necessarily seek out members from all of those different business segments. And that's worked quite well. It's a symbiotic relationship there, if you will. Our deal flow, we run 10 cycles a year. And it's basically on a monthly schedule. So we'll see over the course of the year, 30 a month come in the top of the funnel from all over, member referrals, people that come to our website. We have a small paid professional staff that does early screening. We run those 30 companies through 2 sets of funnels, including member screening. And then we do a monthly on-stage presentation, which rumor has it, we're back to live starting in July, finally, after all this. That will continue on a dual live pitch as well as a professional videographer base. So as a member, you'll have the opportunity to show up and get a meal, or you'll have an opportunity to continue to attend virtually. Out of that monthly cycle, an average of 1.5 companies get funded. 400,000, 500,000 is a typical median, I guess, if you will. It's not unusual that we'll go over $1 million on a round in a month. Net in the year, we approach $10 million total invested through the work of our group. So we are fairly substantial. The Halo report mentioned, we are that Halo report in terms of our medians and our averages. And if you look down in that report, you'll find the Alliance of Angels is always in the top few of the most active angel groups, not just in the Pacific Northwest, but in the country. We're the big dog in that way. We do tend to coddle our entrepreneurs very well. We look for a startup company that does have a serious business plan, a dedicated team, something that is rational, not a hobby, but something that the founders are serious about. But it can be early stage. We will do pre-revenue deals. We will do marginal, barely revenue deals. We'll do post-revenue deals. But you don't have to have revenue to approach us, but you do need to have a realistic valuation, of course. We run through a 6-week, fairly intense diligence cycle. We are, in your vernacular, a network event, a network organization. So we diligence as a group. We have people from many different walks of life. We issue a diligence report, and then each of our members makes an individual investment decision, in or out, and also the magnitude of that decision. And we find that serves us pretty well. We are experimenting with some larger deals where we'll put together specialty funds. So if we have a number of investors who are kind of on the fence and want to risk just a small amount of capital, we'll bundle that into an LLC, and that LLC will be a single entry in the cap table. So that's kind of a process in the works, but that's another opportunity. We with our members, we do a lot of mentoring and coaching of the startup companies, both through the screening cycle, through the diligence cycle, and obviously after that. We all have a common interest in that group succeeding. We don't charge an admission fee to entrepreneurs, but we do demand some time and effort through the diligence cycle, so we complete it in that 6-week cycle.
Cool. Anything you want to put on the table, Eric?
No, I think Rick covered things quite well. I just would like to emphasize we are sector agnostic. One of the early slides listed us as being tech focused, but we've really become pretty sector agnostic, where I think about 30% of the deals we're funding today are life science related deals. In fact, we've got a life science special interest group that Loretta Little from WRF and I chair that put some extra due diligence on the life science companies coming through.
Cool. And just to put a plug in for my own stuff, we have the APIS Health Angels that we're putting together to take our angel conference and focus that process on health. So we've been talking to Loretta and trying to get that process going. I'll bring Elizabeth up later on to chat a little bit about that. Is there anything about Alliance of Angels you want people to know before I put you back to your table?
Just we're happy to look at new members, and we are a growing group. So
come find us if you're interested. We're all over.
Yeah, we're happy to have guests at our events.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Dana, I'm going to try and bring you up again. Let's see if that works. All right, Dana. Hello, Dana. Hello. Not doing so well. All right. So Brianna, I'm going to bring you up now.
Hi, John.
Hi, lovely to see you. So I brought people up in an order that was sort of specific. And I put you at the end, and I put, Grub Steaks at the beginning, because I sort of think that if you're going to be an angel, a company going into an angel group, you sort of should go through them in that order, right? You should start and get your ducks in a row and then go up, rather than going everywhere all at once and then getting the same feedback, 10 times. You tend to be at the top end of where the angels are. We tend to be at the bottom end of where the angels are, and then we go in between. So can you talk a little bit about Keiretsu and what makes Keiretsu different and how you operate?
Yeah, 100%. And I want to thank you for this event. It takes all of us working together. We heard Bellingham. I mean, we all work together and syndicate deals and help support the companies in this region and be able to get the funding they need, and then the follow-on rounds. And so that's something that we really also focus on, and something that makes us different is those making sure the companies are able to fill out their rounds, syndicating the deals, working with our partners so they can hit those milestones and get to that next inflection point, which is what we want to see. We want to see the growth. So I run the Pacific Northwest and Rockies region of Keiretsu Forum. We are a global organization, so we're structured differently. We have over 3,000 members. The last 6 years, we've been #1 in PitchBook, sitting amongst, as an angel network, sitting amongst some of the biggest funds in the country. And it's really exciting to see the work that our investors do. They rolled up their sleeves with us when we went virtual last year. We actually put more money into companies last year than we did the 2 previous years. Our investors funded 69 companies to about 59 million. And so we write substantial checks. Really average check size ranges from about 400,000 up to about 900 to $1 million. It really depends. And then we syndicate those deals out. But there's a structured process that the companies need to move through. And you're right, they have to have their ducks in a row. And as Gary stated, and he has taught me a lot about investing over the years, it's team, team, and team. It's that execution that we're looking for. We're looking for post-revenue. We do a lot of life science investing. I have 375 members across my 2 regions, which brings a lot of expertise to the table. And if we don't have expertise within those 2 regions, we have a whole global network that we can really span to. And then it also helps our companies as they continue to grow and prosper and exit, which is what we like.
Right, and that exit thing. Now, you have Keiretsu Forum, but you also have Keiretsu Capital. Mm-hmm. And those are actually 2 different structures doing 2 different things.
2 completely separate companies. My partner manages Keiretsu Capital. He just has launched Fund 5 and just had his first close here this last week. So it's been exciting to see that co-investment fund. We work a lot with family offices with our co-investment fund and within our own organization that helps to fill out those later stage rounds of funding. So when we're looking at companies that are at the C round and D round, it's something that really lacks in the Seattle area is those later stage rounds of funding. And we're really trying to figure out how we can keep supporting companies in those later stage rounds and stop having them jump ship to California or to New York, as Elaine pointed out in some of those earlier slides.
Yeah, and in Elaine's slide, she said Keiretsu was a passive fund,
which is not correct.
Keiretsu Capital is a fund, and mm-hmm. Keiretsu Forum is an active angel group, and you have Bellevue and you have
Seattle, Vancouver, BC. So we also have Canadian members. We have substantial amount of Canadian members up in our chapter up there, and then Portland
and Denver.
And we have Denver and Salt Lake City with our 2 satellite chapters in Boulder and Boise.
Yeah, and those are all part of the group that you manage.
Yes.
And so when people come in, you're distinctly different than other folks because you don't take them into one group, right?
No, we take them to all 6. They go to all. They present at all 6 chapters. They get placed in front of 300 to 500 people now over the course of 6 meetings, which helps them to find the expertise they're looking for, the dollars they're looking for. And for us, the Zoom format has worked fantastically. Those family offices, they don't want to come out and be out in public. They want to stay incognito. And so those bigger, larger check sizes are coming from them and the network that my partner has really been building over the last 8 years.
Right. And so when they come into you, they need to be able to hit the road running, capable of coping with the fact that they're going to do 6 really significant meetings really quickly, and they're going to need to gather things and logistically operate on that fast.
Yeah, no, they're looking to fundraise quickly. And yeah, they need to come ready and prepared. And typically revenue is essential, and you have to have your deal room set up. You have to have your documents set up. Everything has to be set up and ready to go. We do spend a lot of time working through term sheets, working through deal rooms as we move through the diligence process. It is robust. That said, it really helps to prep them for their next stage, because the bigger rounds of funding you go up, the more robust the due diligence gets. And when you get to that exit point, it's extreme. So, we really are that next stepping stone for that growth and an alternative to what some of the bigger VC firms in San Francisco offer.
Yeah. Every now and then I've seen companies that have gone through like 20 or 30 Keiretsu groups. They sort of hunt through all of them. So there's actually 64 groups that they could engage with if they wanted.
I think there's over 55 chapters globally. I mean, you really got to find the right fit. And I tell entrepreneurs this, and this is exactly the same way we started this conversation, is do your research. Figure out where you want to go, the resources you need, the type of people you want helping you, because we're going to help. We're going to assist. We're going to provide not just capital. We're going to open up doors, open up networks to customers, to partners, to be able to help you hit those milestones, because we're right along it with you. Our investors invest individually, and that's how it works. It's always how it worked. So, but the thing that the companies and our investors are most looking for, and one of the biggest pain points we see, is like, okay, it's great. You come and present, you got half your round completed. Now what? And so being able to syndicate that deal out, making sure all that round gets in the bank, they're able to hit those milestones and get to that next inflection point, is really what we're looking to help serve. And so we really help fill that gap in making sure that our companies that we support receive not just funding through us, but we send them out to everybody else. And it's not just even Keiretsu groups. We have over 25 groups that we syndicate with each month. And so it goes out across the nation.
Yeah, so that syndication call seems to be working pretty well. And
yeah, the syndication network is also working well.
And it's pretty wide, the range of companies that are coming to that. So that are good. Is there any last words you want before I take you back to your table and go on to the next person?
I mean, for any new angels coming in, we are very welcome to any new members. We have a very sophisticated process. It is extremely structured. We provide education each month to support our members, as well as term sheet review, committees to help support. It's all member driven. And like Gary said, it is all team. And so much of our process and how we work through and fund companies that get to our forum and beyond, it's all member driven. And it's really meant to cultivate relationships between the CEOs and the investors, just to make sure you understand what you're getting into, when you're getting into it, and what those dollars mean, and how you're going to get them back. But the biggest thing that I have found, and the biggest lesson I have learned over my 15 years of investing, is you have to communicate with your portfolio companies. It is actually not a passive thing ever, unless you're in a passive fund. So most of the money that I lost in my early days were because I just invested and thought, well, this is going to be the next greatest thing to slice bread. And then I lose my money. And it's like, well, what happened? Oh, I didn't talk to the CEO. Like I didn't, And so whenever I talk to a company, this is the one piece, I don't give advice often, but this is the one tidbit that I will leave for individuals. Whenever I talk to one of my portfolio companies, I don't ever ask them how they're doing. Because if I ask them how they're doing, they're going to tell me they're doing great. When I get on the phone with them, I say, hey, what is one challenge you have this month? Because it really helps disarm them and make sure that they feel safe to be able to talk about the struggles that they're dealing with, because I want to make sure that they make it through that. So that is one little piece I'll leave.
Cool. Is Thank you
Thank
so
you,
very much.
John, for everything.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it very much. Let me take you off.
All right.
And then let me try Dana again, just to do the thing. And if not, I will do it. Dana, you should be able to hit your mic and hit your camera, and you should show up on stage. Well, so E8 is our group of people that are focused on ecological investments. And if you looked at the data that was coming from Elaine, E8 tended to zip around a little bit. Sometimes they invested very early, sometimes they invested very late. They tended to be up because they do a reasonable number of deals. They started out as the clean tech group, but they're a little bit broader now. And they started out as Northwest, but now they're nationwide. And so if you have something that has ecological impact or even general impact, you might start with them and engage around that. Let me take Dana off. And let me bring Minda up. So that's essentially the people that we have that are in the angel groups. We have a couple of other things going. We have a couple on the order of 5 new micro VC funds that are happening. Minda being one that we hold close to our heart because she was a SAC LLC organizer and has then joined with Yoko to create First Row Partners. Welcome, Minda.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm super excited to hop to the front of the room to get to chat with everyone a little.
Yeah, tell us about First Row Partners and what you're up to.
Yeah, so Yoko and I formed First Row Partners in early 2020, right in time for the pandemic, so it's super, to invest in pre-seed companies. It really goes back to our operator background, translated into some of the angel work we did. Yoko's done extensive angel investing. And as we looked at sort of like what's coming next in venture, it's like what's ahead. And we really see a new wave of these small micro funds, operator-led, and we see a huge opportunity to be small and nimble, just like the startups that we fund. So when Yoko and I came together, you know, we had plans, we had aspirations, and we're getting there. What was interesting about 2020 is that it changed everything in actually kind of a good way, because we'd always planned to invest across North America, but Zoom made that like really highly effective. And I think that has really changed the way that pre-seed will work. I think most first meetings will be online from now on. So you can put me on that. But I think that a couple of things about us that people probably usually want to know are like, you know, what do you invest in? And I would say that we invest in pre-seed and seed stage companies, but we try and get in as early as possible. Some of our best investments have come from, you know, somebody who started out as a mentor call, and they got, you know, they were on our mentor calendar, and then we were like, wow, there's something really happening here. We write checks from 50 to 150K, and we don't do follow-on because our fund is a, you know, $3 million first fund. Reserves don't make sense for us. So we form SPVs. And so our LPs are really excited about the idea that they can co-invest, and then they can invest when there's a follow-on opportunity. And so I think that one of the things I'm most proud of working with Yoko is that we really sort of continued our community emphasis in that we do bring founders and funders together in new ways. And I think we're always sort of looking to you know, change the founder-funder dynamic and reduce the power and information asymmetry that happens. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll talk about like, you know, here's how to write a pitch deck, but we'll talk about it from like an investor perspective. What are you really trying to address and answer that the investor has on? How do you think about your startup as an investable widget, not a company building exercise? So I think that she and I got a lot of that as we sort of worked our way through our own journeys. But, you know, it has really been a great experience to sort of get out of the gate with this first fund. We now have 6 portfolio companies, soon 8. And we are investing out of our first fund. We haven't closed it yet, so there's still an opportunity to talk to us about how we're doing that. And, I would say that the reason that I think we're interesting to both founders and LPs is our humanistic venture capital approach, which can sound really woo-woo, but it's not. It's actually sort of super sharp in that we really focus on how humans and technology are interrelated. We find that that's where the biggest successes in markets are. And we have really strong points of view in very specific areas about that. But we are broadly open to software. We're not a hardware. We don't look at hardware. We don't look at med tech. But in the software area, we have some specific areas where we have a point of view and we really sort of are going out and looking for something. But there's a huge opportunity to have a really wide top of funnel. So I would say to founders, like, come talk to us at whatever earliest. There's no too early to talk to us because you can go on our mentor calendar or come to one of our events. And so we really just enjoy getting to meet teams at their earliest stages.
Cool. And you're a micro VC fund with LPs in a traditional sense with a 3-year investing period and a 10-year fund, not a rolling fund, not an angel group, not an angel network.
Nope. And so
Cool.
I would say the one change to that is our fund is actually going to be deployed probably in 2 years. With a $3 million fund, that's a relatively safe amount of capital to be able to deploy in a smart way in 2 years. So, but it is a 10-year fund.
Okay. And you and Yoko are going to be at your table. Any last words?
Yes. So I would encourage any founders or angels to come chat with us. Like, I saw some good questions in there about like getting started with angel investing. And that's something Yoko and I really enjoy doing, is educating new angels. I think learning from what we learned from people like Elaine and you, and sort of trying to bring our own experience into that. We like to talk about how to give people an on-ramp into angel investing. And we'll do whatever we can to answer questions.
Yeah. But I also want you to talk about all of the wonderful workshops that we run in Seattle Angel Conference.
Absolutely. I think that there is that, we talk about it being a 10-week investor event cycle, but there's really 10 weeks leading up to that where all of the events are designed with founders and funders to be able to come together. And I've always really valued that. I think that that is important programming, that you're always looking to bring both sides together. And I think that's something that I really picked up on and want to carry forward in we do that in a lot of different ways with how we look at the world of venture investing. We want to be different and we want to be forward looking in how those relationships work and what it means to do pre-seed investing.
Yeah, cool. Great to have you here. I'm going to put you back at your table and then we're going to do a couple more and then mingle. So Carter, I'm going to bring you up.
Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing, Carter?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. I'm glad to have you here. So you're sort of new on the scene.
Yes.
Elaine doesn't have any data about you. Is wondering who is this Carter guy? So who is this Carter guy and what are you doing?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, I got into angel investing through John and through Seattle Angel Conference. I participated in STAC 17 just before the pandemic hit. So first, thank you for that experience. For all the people listening, if you haven't participated in Seattle Angel Conference, whether you're an inexperienced angel or an experienced angel, I think it's a great experience. And even if you're experienced, it just helps you build out your network. So it was good for me, and it kind of it sort of piqued my interest in angel investing. So my name's Carter. I'm building an angel group that is modeled a lot after Grubstakes. I think Grubstakes is a fantastic organization. I'm a member of Grubstakes. Definitely encourage people to check them out. Called 200 OK Ventures. We focus exclusively on entrepreneurs who are building developer tools. So think of like APIs, platforms, things like that. So we have a very narrow focus on the kind of startups that we invest in. And the people who are members of the angel group are all people who have operational experience at early stage operational experience at dev tool companies. So yeah, we have kind of a very narrow niche, and we try to support the entrepreneurs with people who have a lot of experience in that space.
Cool. That's a very interesting idea. Do you, how do people run into you? Where do you spend your time that they can have a chat when they're all excited about their API?
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, myself and a lot of the people that are in our group, like we're very active in the developer community. So we run meetups. I run a conference. People like a lot of angel groups, like founders kind of find us through the network of people who belong to 200OK. But we have a website, 200ok.vc. And we want to talk, much like Minda said, we want to talk to folks as early as humanly possible, even at just sort of the ideation phase. I worked at a company called Twilio that was one of the early API companies that has since gone public. So I have a lot of like personal sort of enthusiasm and belief in companies that are building APIs. So yeah, if you're an engineer or a technical founder and you have an idea for an API or platform, like we are the kind of people who want to talk to you about it. And the reason we have members who have very operational experience at these companies is that sure, like, we make angel investments, anywhere from, 5 to 25K. But what we really try to do is point folks in the right direction, help get them connected to resources, because it's a very niche field. A lot of the resources that are kind of out there on the internet are kind of generic, or they focus on consumer, or they focus on enterprise SaaS. And the kind of problems that folks run into when they're trying to build APIs are just very specialized, and we just try to help them with that.
Oh, cool. I have just posted all of the links to all of the angel funding groups that I know of in the chat. I have you in there, I believe.
Awesome.
And I wonder if there's any last words before you go back to your table.
No, I mean, I'm gonna hop back to the table. I'm super excited to talk to folks about investing, and I just want to say that like we have such an amazing group of sort of investors and angels here in Seattle, and it just keeps getting better year after year. So I think it's a good time to be an entrepreneur and a founder building something cool.
Yeah, I think it's a good time too. Zoom makes a lot of things easier. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John.
So John, Dex, and Wes, I'm going to bring you up and see if we can talk a little bit about what this Seattle Angel Conference thing is and what we're doing, so people know what that is. Just a moment. Hi, John.
Is my mic on?
You are on, yes. Now, there you go. You're good.
Hi, everybody.
So, hi, Wes. Hi, John. So, we run the Seattle Angel Conference twice a year, and each time we have a LOC organizer. And for this round, it's Wes, and our assistant LOC organizer is John. And John is committed then to running as the LOC organizer SAC 21 that will run from January to May in 2022. So, Wes, do you want to describe your journey to being an LOC organizer for SAC and what makes SAC the place that you're engaging?
Sure, John. Thank you for that. I started angel investing through syndicates and other opportunities I was finding about 4 years ago. And through a mutual friend of mine, was referred to the Seattle Angel Conference. And it was exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for kind of a community where I could feel safe to learn, able to network with more experienced investors, and really give myself the opportunity to engage a lot with people that are passionate about changing the world and making it better in some way. And so I've found it great. I eventually started taking on due diligence lead roles, and the last round was able to assist our amazing SAC 19 fund, or LLC organizer, Kate Fuller-Ghaffari, and she did an amazing job. So I'm excited to keep this moving forward in this round, looking to increase women representation in both our investors or as couples, to get more people at the table and better thoughts for investing and ideas, as well as looking to increase women founders and diversity in the founder representation, so we can have more people creating opportunity at this table.
Cool. Thank you so very much. John, you want to talk anything about why you decided to be the assistant?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like Wes, I found Seattle Angel Conference was like a great starting place for my angel investing journey. And I think Seattle's ecosystem needs to keep replenishing and identifying the next generation of investors and companies. And I think Seattle Angel Conference, I mean, it's the place where a lot of Seattle Angel investors start. And you can see on this call, I mean, I see a lot of familiar faces and people I know who came through Seattle Angel Conference in one way or the other. And many of them are running some of these angel groups we see today. So I'm really excited about just being part of this community and help grow the ecosystem here. Looking for, right now we're actively recruiting investors and companies for the next cohort that starts at the end of August. That's been an exciting time, meeting some of the people and queuing up our next cohort in our 10th year and 20th cohort.
Yes, we're coming to our, and it sounds like we're going to have a 10th year celebration. So we'll put that together. I think we picked the date today of July 28th. So we have on the order of 450 people that have come into our program, many of which have gone on into the other angel groups. So every other angel group has one of our members in it somewhere. And so we'll try to make this thing go a little bit stronger across our ecosystem. Thanks for coming up, John and Wes. I'll get you guys a table. And I want to bring Elizabeth up for a second because we have thought that one of the things that we're short of in Seattle is life science investors at the early stages. And so we're working on creating the life science oriented or the health oriented angel group, APIS Health Angels. So Elizabeth, I'm bringing you up. Hello, Elizabeth. Turn on your mic.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. So Elizabeth is our program manager for APIS Health Angels. Can you give like the 2-sentence explanation of what we're doing with that?
Excited to do that. So I'm Elizabeth Cross-Nickel. I've been involved with SAC beforehand, and now we're using this successful SAC model that's gone for coming up to 20 rounds in 10 years, but has also been duplicated in a variety of other places to look at the health angel investing scene. We know that we need people who are passionate about making changes in health, and we're looking forward to having people come to join us. We're going to run this in the fall, and with a competition for our funding in January to March of next year. We're still in the early stages of putting our programs together, but we've got some really terrific novel investors, novel to investing in angels at all, but novel to investing in health. And we're matching them with previous investors who've got experience. We're at the early stages in terms of making an investment. The participation rate is small. This is a perfect opportunity to allow you to, if you need 20 investments in your investing field, this is a great one to start with on your path. We've been very successful with previous companies, some of the ones that you'll know about: Invio, Safcan, CurioBio, Tensor, Abterra Biosciences was our last 2019 winner. I'm working with Bob Thong, who just came on screen. And the one thing I would just say is we're super connected to the health community with CoMotion, the I-Corps program at UW. We're mentoring there, Life Sciences Washington, Cambia Grove, HealthTie Alaska, And so we feel that we're a bit of a conduit in terms of helping our newer companies move along the very first stage, potentially, in taking investment. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks. And Bob has agreed to be the fund manager for APIS One. So APIS Health Angels we're branding separately, but it'll follow the SAC model of doing things. So Bob, you want to say a couple words about your role?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely modeled after the SAC methodology. So I'll be the initial fund manager. And I mean, just giving a little bit of my history, I'm a physician. I've been with SAC and John for about 5 years off and on. But for the past 5 years, I haven't noticed any healthcare providers that are actively investing, at least through SAC and some other groups that I kind of joined. And through talking with John and Elizabeth, thought, you know, post-COVID, with this onslaught of health tech companies coming on, why not do a SAC, but focus on health tech, and especially try to get healthcare providers, dentists, you know, all those folks that may not even know what angel investing is involved, educate them and have them be exposed to these health tech companies that may need their expertise, let alone some funding too. So that's what we're doing, and we're excited to get started with that.
Cool. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate you working on that project. Let me take you off stage, and we will go to mingling. So